It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level when we shut down to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated with style and durability. You can trust Tervis tumblers to keep your drinks the perfect temperature, hot or cold, for hours. From the classic insulated tumblers to sleek stainless steel water bottles, each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Since our founding, we've been revolutionizing hair removal with cutting-edge technology and a commitment to empowerment. The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. Experience the future of hair removal today at ulike.com, because at Ulike, beauty is about looking and feeling good. That's ulike.com. Ulike. With Ease US, make studio quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects, featuring 468 natural AI voices. Customize the volume, mood, and pauses to perfectly match your content. Plus, capture high quality videos with no watermark. Record your screen, webcam, and voice, and save them instantly to your computer. Never been easier to create professional grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US.
Just use Ampace.
Ampace.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. We are live once again coming to you atop the Alico building in Central Texas, where we are so excited to be presenting another iteration of the Pete Sousa Show on a Thursday, presented by Slovacics, of course, Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers, Sikora Family Ford. We're very excited also to continue our partnership with Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers, and Slovacics is just the greatest, and we're stoked. I was putting up clips yesterday. Scotty did an amazing job. Make sure you go to check out all the stuff we covered yesterday with Todd McShay, and even before that with Shedeur Sanders and the jersey retirement. It's all up on the Pete Sousa YouTube page. Like and subscribe. We're growing and growing and growing. Hit 4,000 watch hours yesterday over the past year, which gets you monetized with YouTube ads. So you're making it a real special deal for us. So thank you very much for being a part of this. We started with like nothing about a year ago, and then we ramped up every day in the fall, and it's been a lot of fun. Speaking of the fall, bummer this morning, a lot of emotions, I think, for Scotty more than me. But I definitely, ESPN and college football, I've talked about my love for college football. Lee Corso was riding shotgun to that explosion of college football in my life, and more than likely yours too. A member of the first ever, I'll say iteration of College Game Day in 1987, alongside Tim Brando and some other cast members. He has stepped down today, announced his retirement just moments ago, really. It's 38 seasons he's been a part of Game Day. He was part of the first ever college football road show for Game Day. In 1993, they went to Notre Dame and Florida State in South Bend, 1 versus 2. It was Craig James, it was Lee Corso, it was Chris Fowler. He's just been a staple. We've welcomed him into our living rooms for almost 4 decades, some of us. And 430 times he has put on the mascot head. And he was also a bad dude. Like he coached Louisville, Indiana, Northern Illinois. He also coached the Orlando team in the USFL when the USFL was like humming in 1985. And it's a bummer that he's gone, but also you can understand why. I bang the drum for ESPN here all the time because they've treated me so well. And they obviously, a superstar like Lee Corso, they treated him phenomenal. And he talks about it. He had a stroke, and they made accommodations for him to continue to be a part of things. Scotty, what does Corso mean to you?
Oh, gosh. I'm going to get emotional. I had tears in my eyes when I saw it. I'm getting borderline emotional now. So you said, how long has he been doing this?
38 years.
I'm 32.
Yeah.
So literally, I don't have memories ever since I fell in love with college football. I fell in love with Baylor football as a kid. I fell in love with college football when Vince Young won the national championship in 2005 over USC. That's when I was like, this is the greatest sport in the world. And from that point on, dude, he's been on my TV every Saturday morning, like every time. In college, like that was my friend group's routine. We'd get up early in the morning. We'd get some breakfast or some coffee. We'd all get in the same apartment and watch College Game Day every Saturday. And then we'd go, when Baylor had home games, we'd go out to the game. This guy is a legend. Like I always say, there's 2 studio sports shows that I think every other studio sports show needs to try to be because they are so good. One's inside the NBA, and it's just the chemistry those 4 guys have, and the other is ESPN College Game Day. And through different hosts, they've had a few different people rotate in and out of there, right? Fowler for a long time, Pollock for a while. Like, you've had people come in and out. Corso and the headgear has been the best segment on that show the whole time. It's been the best. There are Saturdays where you're like, I don't feel like getting up, but I got to get up. I got to get up by the time he does the headgear. Truly. So,
430 times he's put on the headgear.
Unbelievable.
And his record, ESPN sent an email out this morning, 286 and 144 is the record. That's a 66% winning percentage. It's amazing. What are your thoughts when you, as a Baylor fan, when you're sitting at home and we talked about there were times when he put on that Baylor. I think it was one time in 2019 when the comeback for Oklahoma.
We don't have to talk about that. I've actually got the clip. And
Throw it up there.
I'm gonna go ahead and play it, and then if you're watching this on a replay and it's not there, it's because we've taken it down for copyright reasons.
Yeah.
But for now, for our live audience and the few that watch, I thought it was important to share this. So here we go.
Offense. All time, Oklahoma is 25-3 versus Baylor. This is an easy pick for me now. Oklahoma!
Oh,
wait a minute. That's the wrong hit.
What?
Here, you have it.
I'll take this one.
I'm going for the upset. Give me that.
What a great scene in Waco. Big thanks to Chip and Joanna Gaines under the headgear. Give him a little sugar there, Chip. That works for us. Alabama and Mississippi State coming up. What a great morning it's been here. Thank you.
There's a guy who has embraced Waco, and that gives me the warm and fuzzies and some goosebumps on top of it. Chip and Joe and Lee Corso all with the headgear on?
Yeah. It's incredible.
So how does that make you feel when you see that?
I can't put it into words. Yeah. And I know that show is bigger than Lee Corso. Like that show will go on. Yeah. If they come back to Waco, we will have another packed out crowd in McLean. Yeah. I told you before we came on, I think they've caught lightning in a bottle again with McAfee. I think that's going to continue. But the Lee Corso, it's both the College Game Day thing, the symbolism of the headgear every week, but then it's also, I think, another, and this is going to keep happening in the next 10 years, an icon of a media time that has gone by, right? Like McAfee's the new wave star, and it's because of YouTube. Like we're doing this show, YouTube.
Yeah.
Like the grand studio traveling show with the host that everyone waits in line all night to get to see come out and wave and say hello. The first time I went to College Game Day was in Stillwater, and me and my buddies got there a day early, stayed up 24 hours so we could be in the front row. We were 3 Baylor fans amidst a sea of Cowboys in the front row. And when Lee Corso, Fowler had come out and talked to us, and a couple of, but when Lee Corso came out and just waved, I mean, hey everybody, dude. I mean, you would have thought it was like John Lennon. Like it was like a true rock star moment, man.
Yeah.
And it's just, there's not a lot of guys like that in media and in TV, less and less.
Yeah.
Really special.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like, the last of a dying breed is extreme, but I get your point. He really was that mainstream guy that also, and I touched on it earlier, he was a badass coach. Like, he morphs into this almost caricature of a man later in his career, the kind older gentleman. But he was a tough dude. Like, he coached, I think Denver Broncos great Hall of Famer Tom Jackson, he coached at Louisville. Yeah. And I can just remember Jackson saying, like, he wasn't always a sweet guy. He was fire and brimstone.
One of my, it might be my favorite live television moment.
By the way, I'm not sure if Tom Jackson's a Hall of Famer, but it sounded great.
Nice. It might be my favorite live television moment ever, and I didn't pull the clip. We could show it. It's YouTube. But when he was putting on the head and he yells the F word as he throws it off. You remember that? You remember that clip? He goes, F it, and he chucks the mascot head. And the whole set, like Kirk, falls off the set, like they're just dying because it was like for 2 seconds that that intensity kind of came through.
And then he said the one time, and it was you could tell there's no harm meant by it. He called the little kid the M word that you would say for little people. He called him a midget.
Oh, I missed that.
Oh, it's the kid says something like sharp to Corso, and he says, slow down there, midget. And you see like Herb Street and Fowler just like, oh my gosh, like what are we gonna do with this guy?
Yeah.
Just an overall legend. A couple of highlights for him, by the way, since we're into this. In 1999, he was 11-0. He picked every single game correctly. That's most wins in a season for him without a loss. He was a coach, an assistant at Navy. He's never picked against the midshipmen. His October 5th, 1996, Ohio State over Penn State. That was his first headgear pick. And his 100th was September 17th, 2005, Florida State over BC. You get the idea. All right, I'll give you a guess, Scotty. Who is the school that he picked the most headgear?
It's either Ohio State or Alabama. I bet it's Ohio State.
You're good, dude. You didn't see this?
No, I really didn't.
Ohio State 45, Alabama 38.
I'm just thinking who's been so elite over the last 20 years, and who do they go see all the time? And
pretty good,
it makes
Scotty.
that tracks. Yeah,
pretty good. So Lee Corso, he will do one more episode of College Game Day. He's gonna do his last headgear pick, the opener, which is yet to be determined. For ESPN and College Game Day.
I'm really glad they're doing that.
Yeah, me too.
I'm really glad it's not like Happy April, you're never gonna see Corso again.
Yeah,
let's do one last hurrah, celebrate him.
Yeah,
they're gonna, that episode's gonna be.
Oh, it's gonna be so.
It's
emotional.
a 3-hour show. It's gonna be 2 hours of Lee Corso highlights.
That'll be very emotional.
But he's worthy of it, man. Like I said, I as a kid growing up in the 90s and 2000s. Do not know what Saturdays look like without Lee Corso.
Yeah.
Like, it is really, really impactful for me.
Yeah,
emotionally.
no.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, and me too. I mean, you realize, like, 1987, I'm 10 years old, and College Game Day starts. And, not with the fanfare that it has today, but it certainly was. ESPN was kind of the only game in town with 24/7 sports at that time, of course. But it was really, by 1987, it had built out a hell of a brand. And it wasn't hard to find, and you knew where to go for your pregame and all the college football with the bells and whistles. So it was a perfect marriage at a perfect time. And Lee Corso is just a complete legend. August 30th, by the way, will be that final show, week 1, with Lee Corso.
What's good for Baylor fans is we'll be done with our football. We play that Friday night.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So Baylor fans can go get the anxiety out, see what the Bears look like against Auburn, and then give full attention to Lee Corso that next morning.
I'm starting to believe more and more they're going to beat the brakes off of Auburn. I believe that. We got to keep everybody in house though. I do worry that in the state of you give me that face. I worry that I just worry that. Could be like a shocker around the corner. Like what would you like really? I worry about that. Like
I don't.
You don't?
No.
Okay.
Because
what if somebody throws a bag at Josh Cameron?
They would have done it in January.
Okay.
What has he earned in the last 3 months that he didn't earn by December? You know what I'm saying?
Well, but that's not. But these teams.
I understand it's open season.
Yeah, a number one wide receiver goes somewhere to somewhere else, and then there's a vacancy, and then there's money.
Maybe I'm naive.
Yeah.
And if I'm naive, you can be the first person to get on here and go, I told you you're naive.
I don't like to say I told you so about that stuff.
Well, I feel like something we've touched on and you've sensed because you've interviewed all these guys too. Sawyer, Cameron, I think Cameron being a walk-on who was given a scholarship that earns you a little more root somewhere.
He'll tell you quickly, though, preferred walk-on, so don't mess with him.
Yeah. I know it. I'm not hating. He's the best. He's the best outside player on the team.
Yeah.
But Sawyer, Bryson, and Josh all strike me as guys who really had this, not a surprise for anyone who'd watch them in practice, but for most people, a surprise elevation last year.
Yeah.
And I think this team really believes right now in Dave Aranda they can win the Big 12.
Okay.
And I think they want to do that. I think I'd be more afraid if we started 2-4 again.
Yeah.
Like, is Josh Cameron going to quit midseason?
No.
Not that I think that's his character, but is Bryson Washington going to go to UT in November? Like, no, seriously. If Baylor just cratered, I'd be worried. But right now, I think the juju around that football team is so high.
Yeah.
The feeling is so high.
And
all the transfers they brought in are meeting expectations. Like, it's looking good.
And the connective tissue between those players at the top, right? Cameron, Washington, Sawyer. They really are. They play for each other just as much as they play for themselves. We got Trevan Ma'ae coming up. He's getting ready for the NFL draft. He's going to join us actually live, probably in about 5-6 minutes. Let me know if you see him, Scotty. If he's ready to go.
Yeah, he's ready to go.
Oh, he's there now? He is?
Yeah.
All right, well, let's do this quick segment. I just want to do a quick take on BYU hoops, and then we'll get to Treven. The way too early ESPN rankings came out for college basketball. Look at those Big 12 teams. You have 6 in the top 20. And Houston and Texas Tech 1 and 2. BYU is 6. When you look at that BYU lineup and the potential of what it could be, it's superstar after superstar after superstar. BYU has 2 5-star players on its roster this year. Last year they had Igor Demin. When you think about it that way, prior to those 3 guys, Danny Ainge, and this is according to, I read this article on, I want to get this right, Cougars Insider Newsletter. Danny Ainge was a high school All-American in 1977 in the same class that included Magic Johnson. So if there was a 5-star at that point in time, Danny Ainge would have gotten it. Danny Ainge, of course, goes on to win the Naismith Player of the Year in 81. He was a bad dude on the basketball court. And I'm watching Celtic City now. Danny went on to be a key cog in the wheel of the Celtics' success. And he actually kind of spurred a trade for Cedric Maxwell to leave town so Danny could get more minutes. And he was a shrewd GM even before his time. They would joke around the locker room because all kinds of trade offers started to come in for Kevin McHale, for Larry Bird. The Indiana Pacers wanted to throw a boatload at the Celtics for Larry Bird. When Bird was like on his last leg, they wanted to send like Rick Smits, Chuck Person, and a bunch of draft picks. And, you know, Red Auerbach was like, no. And Danny Ainge was like, Red, you got to make that trade. He'd be like breaking those guys' balls, like, come on. And Red would tell Danny, no, no, no. And then Danny says, eventually, I was the guy who got traded. He gets sent to Sacramento. But Danny Ainge is an amazing executive right now with the Utah Jazz. But when you look at Utah, or BYU, excuse me, and their starting lineup with Rob Wright, A.J. DeBonsta, and a cast of others, this team is so good on paper that it's scary to think that a collection of talent this great, and I know this sounds funny, but hang in there with me, could succeed together. And rarely do we see like a dream team of sorts come together and actually achieve expectations. But I'll tell you why this team actually is headed in that direction to achieve expectation. There's two huge reasons, okay? The first one is Kevin Young, okay? BYU has never been to a Final Four. If there's a guy that's going to captain a ship to the Final Four, it's going to be Kevin Young. And the reason why he's tailor-made for this outfit is because of his ability to coach players with such magnificent talent, being one of the best assistant coaches in the NBA with the Phoenix Suns. So it's not tough for him to conceptualize a starting lineup where you can throw a bunch of great talent together and make it work. The other reason why this BYU situation is going to work, and I don't think that it will fall flat, is because of Rob Wright. Rob Wright, 5-star guy from Philly, transfers to Montverde, is a guy who I believe chose BYU, of course, because of the financial opportunity, but also because of the spiritual component. I sat here in this room and talked to Rob Wright earlier this year, or late last year, I guess. And one of the things I gleaned from him was that he's an amazing kid, and spirituality is a huge part of his life. And BYU and the situation there is the right kind of school for a guy like Rob Wright. And it's a perfect fit. And one of the things about Rob that I love, and really one of the things about our next guest, Trevan Ma'ae, who's getting ready for the NFL draft, we're going to talk to in a second, is their spirituality and their faith, and how that enables them to handle situations that feel larger than life. And this situation this year will be larger than life for Rob Wright, but he is up to the task. And the reason I single out Rob is because he's going to be the point guard. He'll be the maestro directing this orchestra, right, of great talent on the floor at the Marriott Center, where we all know it is tough to go in there and beat BYU. And I think now, one thing that BYU has to be cautious of, and we've talked about this, Scotty, with Scott Drew, is that BYU will now be, this is the first time, maybe in school history, they will come into a season as the hunted on a national level. BYU will have a target on its back this basketball season. So how they handle that, I think they'll handle it fine because of Kevin Young and because of Rob Wright. But there is a lot to handle, and you're going to need someone at the controls that is like Cool Hand Luke, and you got him in Rob Wright, right? From Philly to Montverde Academy to a starting point guard in the Big 12 after taking the job away from a former All-American, a former Final Four starter, Jeremy Roach. A lot to like about this BYU team. We'll continue to cover them as we get going here. Football, though, is coming up next. Trevan Ma'ae getting ready for the NFL draft. We are getting ready for him. The Pete Sousa Show, presented by Savachix, rolls on after this.
We'll be right back after these quick words from our sponsors. This is Rogue Media Network.
Experience the perfect blend of exquisite craftsmanship and life-changing technology with Gevi. Every product is built with precision, featuring specialized parts that ensure durability, efficiency, and safety. We put every machine through 6,000 rigorous tests to guarantee long-lasting performance. With cutting-edge technology and a commitment to energy efficiency, Gevi makes your life easier, greener, and more convenient. Upgrade your everyday with Gevi. Visit us at gevi.com to discover more. That's gevi.com. Cleanse your body of accumulated toxins and embark on your wellness journey at your own pace. At Global Healing, we provide premium supplements to help your body heal naturally. Combine that with OrganicHemp.com's top-quality CBD for ultimate balance. Start your healing journey today at GlobalHealing.com and OrganicHemp.com. Transform your workspace with Hanomi Ergonomics. From adjustable chairs to standing desks, we provide solutions for comfort and productivity, whether at home or in the office. Improve your posture, reduce strain, and work smarter. Visit us at hanomi.co today. That's HINOMI.co today. Experience the future of secure private cloud storage with Internex. Protect your files with end-to-end encryption, ensuring your data stays private and accessible only to you. Enjoy seamless, fast storage without compromising security. Visit Internex.com today and take control of your digital life. That's INTERNXT.com today. Calling all Marvel fans, get Marvel Unlimited and unlock over 30,000 comics featuring your favorite heroes and iconic stories, all available to read anytime, anywhere. Whether you're into classic tales or the latest adventures, there's something for everyone. Don't miss out. Head to marvel.com/unlimited today and start your Marvel journey now.
And now, back to our show.
One sec, guys. Can you guys hear me? I can't hear you guys. Give me 1 second. I think it's...
Line in the Big 12,
There
the
we go.
NFL, anywhere. How about now? You got me now?
I got you. Can you hear me?
I was just telling my man Scotty,
There we go.
you look like a bad dude. I mean, in the Pac-12 to the Big 12 to now the NFL, you are not a guy you want to line up and look across the line of scrimmage or be out on the edge and see you ready to go, man. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you saying that. That's really that's what I try to do. That's a big part of my game is that, doing that.
So I got a chance to call a couple of your games, calling games for ESPN. And, one of the things that really stands out about you is your ability to control your body, right? You have quickness, but you have body control. This is from a football perspective. You got an opportunity to show scouts and NFL teams that during the season, right? But after the draft, that's something that you want to be able to highlight for NFL executives. Have you had the ability to do that? Like, did you take advantage of Big 12 Pro Day? How do you show these teams that you have that quickness and that body control, which is so important for a guy like you who could be playing the edge in the NFL?
Right. Yeah. So I believe I did. I know I did that. The Big 12 Pro Day was the last stepping stone for me because I know that my tape is my tape. It is what it is, and I know I had a good year, but they didn't get to see my speed, my true speed, because I've been telling everybody if I had to run a 40-yard dash in a game, that means we did something wrong as a defense. So I only had to run that far probably one time, maybe two, maybe twice, and so I think that's a credit to our defense at Baylor. But being able to go and run my 40 and run a 4.7, and also um, among other things, my drills, throwing up 27 on the bench at my weight. It just showed that I can compete at any weight, I can keep up speed wise, strength wise with the best of them.
What's it been like for you with this whole situation, getting ready for the draft? Any part of the process that has surprised you, like in a fun way, where you're like, wow, this is different. Everybody who prepared me for the draft, I didn't see this certain instance coming.
Not necessarily. I will say that this uh, this time has been special. It's been amazing. Just I'm blessed to be in this situation. Highly blessed. I'm taking it day by day, one step at a time. So I'm trying to take it all in. I just finished the workout with the Raiders last Friday. Had the local pro day, and uh, I showed out there as well. So
See,
everything
you're a
is.
humble guy, so it's cool to hear you say you showed out. I mean, that gives me the impression that you're a confident young man, even though you're extremely humble. What did you learn? And I know you talk about humility, you talk about Dave Aranda, but you had the opportunity, again, to play on a big stage at Oregon, and then you go and play on another big stage in the Big 12. What did you learn from Dave Aranda at Baylor? Your screen just went dark. You still with me? There you go. What did you learn from Dave Aranda?
Can you hear me? Sorry, somebody was trying to call me.
No, I hear you. I hear you, man. See that? If it's your agent, you can let us go.
There we go. Could you? It got cut off. You were talking about being on a big stage.
Yeah, no, I wanted to know, playing at Baylor for Dave Aranda, another big stage, right? You go from Oregon, you go to Baylor. He is a mastermind defensively. Did you learn anything from him, or what did you learn from him that you're able to apply that got you ready to play in the NFL?
So my jump from Oregon, my transition from Oregon to Baylor was, to me, as far as defense, it was a lateral jump. Uh, Oregon plays a similar type of defense to Baylor, in my opinion. If you ask me, the verbiage is very similar. The uh, plays, everybody runs the same plays. It's just how the coach implements it and when he calls what. So that's where I think Coach Aranda does a great job of getting us in the right situations, and just being around him, the way he approaches things, his attention to detail is incredible. I mean, I don't know when he sleeps, but I know that he watches uh, a buttload of film.
Where are you going to watch the draft?
I'll be watching the draft at my in-laws. I'm staying with my in-laws right now, my wife's family in
What
Las
area of the
Vegas.
country is that in?
Las Vegas.
Okay. So you're out in Vegas. Obviously, you are a married guy. I wanted to talk to you about that. Your evolution as a man, spiritually, and now part of a family with your wife. How did you grow at Baylor as a young man that has obviously you're fulfilled internally because you've talked about it, but your growth as a guy at Baylor, how has that gone, or how did it go?
So when I left Oregon and my first year at Baylor, I didn't have the success I wanted. I played a new position. I had went from playing. I came to college 6 years ago as a freshman. I was 240 playing outside linebacker, and each year I made the jump. I moved in closer to the line to the ball. Um, and so my first year at Baylor, I went from playing defensive end, D tackle to true nose, playing at zero shade, and I played the most I did compared to at Oregon, and I had a worse year production wise, and just the I wasn't being dominant, and that on top of among other things, I believe I had to reach that bottom of the valley to be able to see, okay, this is where these are things that need to change. I have to make changes. Uh, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, by the things I'm eating, just how I'm approaching things, my mindset, shifting my perspective. And so that's the turning point was finding my faith this off going into this season, and also growing with my wife as well. Uh, she's stuck by my side this whole time through thick and thin, and she's seen me at my lows and she's seen me at my highs. So all those things, plus it just took some time and having great coaches at Baylor. I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, I love football. I love the NFL. I also love a good love story. Where'd you meet your wife?
Me and my wife are high school sweethearts. So when I was going to Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas, so she was going to Faith Lutheran High School. It's another private school down the street, literally like a 15-minute drive on the same road. So I would say the smart people go to Faith Lutheran, the athletes go to Bishop Gorman.
I think Milos Uzan went to Bishop Gorman, if I'm not mistaken. The point guard for Houston.
Oh shoot, I didn't honestly I don't keep up very much with basketball, but his name does sound familiar. So
Yeah. Well, that's because Trev, you've been working out 6 days a week, twice a week. You don't have
yeah,
time to do much else. Are you in
no,
the best shape of your life?
I am. I feel great. I'm getting back to because there's football. There's the first 3 months up until pro day, I was training like a track star to be a track star, and now it's time to go back to being a football player. And there's a big difference between being in shape and then being in football shape. And uh, really, the only way you get to that is by playing football and practicing. So whatever else you can get in at this time is what you can get in.
Right now, the Baylor football team, there's a ton of excitement heading into next season, and you're a huge part of that. What you guys did to stay together as a team this year when the going got tough, right? And to continue to play together as a family and for one another. You guys exceeded expectations and reached new heights. There's a lot of excitement around this program now. And I think one of the coolest things about this team is that nobody's really left. I mean, certain guys left for certain opportunities, but, the nucleus of this team has stayed together. I would say from the outside perspective, it's because of that relationship you guys have with each other and now the team has with one another. They're on a mission. To you, why do you think things have stayed the way, players have stayed within the program and have that goal-oriented mindset?
I think that Baylor's special. It's a special place with special people, truly. Um, the care that Baylor shows to the players is a cut above the rest, in my opinion. So also it's building blocks. So like the first year at Baylor, we went through that. My first year at Baylor, we had that 3-9 season, and that it left a sour taste in everybody's mouth. Especially for me. I'm a poor sport. I hate losing. All I care about is winning. I just want to win. And leaving Oregon and having that poor season, my first year at Baylor, it left a sour taste in my mouth and everybody else. So we're trying to build that winning culture again. Get back to winning the Big 12 and aiming for above that. So I'm proud to have gone there, and I'm excited for the boys going into this next season.
What's an NFL team going to get if they draft Trevan Ma'ae?
They're going to get somebody who's consistent day in, day out. I'm the same person. Every day when I show up, they're going to get somebody who's relentless, whose work ethic fits the mold. I pride myself on being a run stopper, chasing the ball, hustle, effort, and also the most important thing to me is playing the game of football passionately and rough. Those are two of the things I think are a premium with me.
Couple more for you before I let you go. Where is your excitement level headed into this phase of your life? The NFL draft right in the middle of it.
It's exciting. It's nerve-wracking. It's exciting. It's all the above for me. Um, I know that I belong in the NFL. I can play football. I can talk ball. I love ball, and I've prepared for this, and I know that there's this growth to be had when I get there. I haven't reached my ceiling, but I'm excited for the opportunity, to make something of myself and do something for um, that I've wanted since I was a kid. So it's really a whole bunch of emotions, and I know it's just gonna it'll be like a roller coaster when the draft comes.
How about you mentioned consistency on the field, right? That's what an NFL team has gotten. I imagine your diet has been consistent recently. What are you eating? What's like the mainstay that you're eating to get in this kind of shape?
So my wife has been meal prepping for me. She cooks my meals. I'm very blessed to have her taking care of that for me. But um, I eat rice with every meal. That's my favorite carb. Growing up in Hawaii, that's a staple food for us. It's easy to make. A lot of pulled pork, steak, chicken, um, just plain protein, and also uh, I've been trying to eat more vegetables. So having broccoli Normandy really helps get them in, and eating lots of fruits, a lot of water. Just the It's nothing special, nothing high tech or advanced. It's just the basic things that um, it's not what uh, you don't have to have all the special crazy things you see in the magazines. It's just you make do with what you have, and you be consistent with it. So,
What's something about you that nobody knows?
sorry, say again. It cut out. Sorry, my
Yeah, sure.
Wi-Fi's not too good.
What is something about you that nobody knows? Something positive.
I think most people who don't haven't talked to me, they might just see me on the field, and I play nasty. I play rough, and I take pride in doing that. I don't show any mercy on the field, but so people might see that and see when I take my helmet off on the sidelines, I'm in a different. Uh, I'm in a different zone, a different time and space from the rest of the world. And when I leave the stadium, when I'm not at football, I am I'm at peace. I'm a happy person. So I may not look happy on the field, but uh, it brings me happiness doing that. And to do that, you have to be a certain way, in my opinion. So, but outside of that, I love spending time with my wife, spending time with my dogs, reading books. So, um, yeah, I'm not as, the bad guy on off the field,
I think that's what's special about football. You can sort of almost go into character on the field, right? And just
Right.
be almost somebody who you're not. And clearly you are a bad dude on the football field. And I, like a lot of other people here in Central Texas, Treven, look forward to watching you on Sundays, man. So best of luck to you. We will continue to follow your career. And, good luck next week with the draft. I'm sure it'll be stressful, but I can guarantee it's going to be rewarding.
No doubt. I just want to thank you again for having me on. It's a pleasure. I always appreciate the opportunity to talk to people. So,
Yeah.
thank you. I wish you the best, and we'll be in touch, as my career goes on. So thank you.
Look forward to it, man. Good luck, Treven.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Trevan Ma'ae, a real tough guy not to like a lot, dude. And, man, I would love if he ended up with the Raiders playing in his backyard in Vegas. Come on. You wouldn't love that, Scotty?
Oh, that would be iconic.
Let's go.
Classic. Let's do it.
All right. We're going to do some time with Cam Stuart coming back. Cam.
Also iconic, by the way.
Dude, legendary, right? That's Cam Stuart. Made a splash nationally yesterday. With some things he had to say about the Baylor basketball team. We'll let you find out what those are when we come back. The Pete Sousa Show presented by Slovacics with our main man, Cam Stuart. Other side of the break.
We'll be right back after these quick words from our sponsors. This is Rogue Media Network.
Founded in 1910, Samsonite is the world leader in durable, high-quality luggage and travel accessories. Made to the highest standards, our products won't let you down. We give you the confidence to get out there and explore. Inspired by the past, devoted to the present, and built to inspire a multi-generational future, Samsonite is here to elevate your journey. Travel with Samsonite and pack confidence every step of the way. Shop now at shop.samsonite.com. Samsonite. Dive into adventure with scuba.com, your ultimate destination for top-tier scuba and snorkeling gear. With over 20 years of experience, our expert staff, who've dived everywhere from the Galapagos to the Maldives, provides personalized advice to help you find the perfect gear for any underwater journey. Shop leading brands like GoPro, Aqualung, and Scuba Pro. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, trust scuba.com for the best in diving equipment and expert guidance. Explore now at scuba.com. That's SCUBA.com. Scuba.com. At Terrapin Ridge Farms, they believe in the joy of effortless entertaining. Inspired by CEO Mary O'Donnell's mom and her legendary holiday parties, they've crafted a line of gourmet foods that turn any meal into a celebration. From savory jams to mustards, aiolis, and more, their products are made with love, bringing unforgettable flavors to your table. Whether it's a casual get-together or a special occasion, they make it easy to impress. Terrapin Ridge Farms, where great food and great memories come together. Visit them at terrapinridge.com. Terrapin Ridge. Want to turn your passion into profit? With Blogify, creating a blog has never been easier. Build, customize, and grow your site with powerful tools designed for beginners and pros alike. Start sharing your story today and watch your audience grow with Blogify. Visit blogify.ai today for a free 3-day trial. That's Blogify, BLOGIFY.ai today.
And now, back to our show.
The Baylor basketball team. There's no one left. The cupboard is bare. Will we have a season next year? That's next. Locked on Baylor. All right,
Love it.
Cam.
Love it. Don't come for my job, please. That's the big one for me.
Dude, you're kicking ass. It was a lot of fun. I'm out on the Cameron Park Trail, going through my phone yesterday, and I see the tweet from Barstool. I open it up, and there's my guy. Right? There he is.
Can't escape me.
What was that? So you said, a lot of your show today is going to be around that. Look at Bear the Truth. He's got X's, X, X, X. Let's see that photo, Scotty. This is Cam's handiwork.
And this is big time creative right here. This is artistic stuff.
Did you do that with the X's? That was your deal?
I did that. You can do that on the iPhone, which is how I maneuvered that.
So
and what's funny is I almost didn't. And this was just me being lazy, but I almost didn't post the final picture of all the X's.
Yeah.
Like I had it to where there was like 2 left, maybe 1 left with Josh O. And then someone had tweeted at me after Josh O entered the portal Monday night, was like, all right, are we going to see the update or not? And I was like, I guess. I was working the new NHL game night show, so I was wicked tired. And I was like, I guess I just have to do it. And now here it is. Now here it is. It has taken on new life.
Broken sport, ? I love it. I love it. And honestly, that made the rounds. I was telling Scotty offline. Christy texts me about that. She's like, hey, is it true that Baylor's whole team has turned over? It's kind of transcended mainstream social media and gone to just about everybody, because it is a reflection of where we are today. In the sport of college basketball. My question to you, what's done is done, right? Well, I want to ask you one thing about Josh O. How big of a loss do you think that is for Baylor?
Tough to tell. Unfortunately, probably not that big a loss, because I don't know how much he was going to play next year. And I talked about this on Locked On, but I think that's probably a mutual thing of hey, Josh, we got to replace this whole team. We know we don't want to rush you into something and make it feel like you're going to have to come in and be our savior whenever you're ready to come in, knowing that you're probably not going to be 100%. We saw that with virtually the same scenario with Jonathan Tchamwa a few years ago. They blew out their knees in basically the same week of the season. Chamwa Chachua's injury ended up being worse with some of the nerve damage and everything. But he came back a year later. It was pretty miraculous, but he was obviously not the same player. And so I think they were probably trying to say, hey, you don't need to come in and be our Messiah when this season is hanging on by a thread next year. And for Josh, it's a chance to go somewhere else, kind of on his own terms and rehab on his own terms and all that. So I like the role that he played, and I thought he definitely could have helped them down the stretch this year. It wasn't a case of a talent thing, but I don't think it's a huge loss for this season just because I don't know how healthy he was going to be.
What's your favorite addition so far?
Obi Agbem from Wyoming.
Really?
Yeah.
Just because he's a marksman?
Yeah, pretty much. And this is like almost overcompensation of well, there is no such thing as overcompensation in this sense of like they didn't have good 3-point shooting last year. That's something they've been awesome at the last few seasons. Obi Agbem and JJ White both shot over 40% from 3 last year. But Obi was a guy who came in without any major college basketball experience. I know, Wyoming's not in the Power 4, but the Mountain West has been a pretty damn good conference the last few years. And he was one of the very best players in the conference. He hopped in right away, and it makes me think that he can make the jump or that he won't be intimidated by that jump at all. So I'm excited about Obi Agbem. I think Michael Ratai can play a nice little role for them. But Obi's the one that you look at the tape and you're like, man, like this is a kid to watch right here. I have compared him to, just based off the style and the tape, Pete, not saying this is what this guy's going to become, but the play style looks a lot like Ja Morant, who's one of the most exciting players in the NBA. So if nothing else, he'll be exciting.
Yeah, that gets me excited to think that a guy like Ja Morant will be playing at Foster Pavilion next year, somebody that, embodies the same type of basketball. How big a loss, now that you've had a chance, the worst kept secret of all time was announced earlier this week in Provo, Rob Wright.
Yeah.
How big a loss do you think that is? Because I was looking at the BYU roster, and it's like a friggin' all-star team, and I think that one of the biggest assets they have as far as keeping that thing in line is Rob Wright running the point. And your coach, Kevin Young, knows how to deal with talented pieces like that coming from the NBA. I think those are two extreme positives for them going into next year. But then you talk about the loss for Baylor. Who is going to run the – well, how big of a loss is Rob, you think? Like, how much does that hurt?
Huge loss.
Yeah.
Huge loss. Like, I think you've got some talent that you brought in with JJ White and Obi Agbem, but we just talked about, one of the reasons I'm excited about Agbem is that he's not going to be really intimidated by the moment. That said, what you have in Rob Wright. You saw the kind of player he could be during this season, and that the lights are not going to be too bright. The league is not going to be too physical, even for a shorter guy. And you don't expect any sort of regression from Rob Wright. In fact, I was saying he could be an All-American candidate next year. And now you bring in guys in the portal who have some talent, sure. But now there's those questions of, how long is it going to take for them to get adjusted to the Big 12 game? Are they going to get adjusted to the Big 12 game? Some guys don't. Out of the transfer portal. You're going to have questions literally on every single guy on the roster next year. And the fact that you would have had one guy in Rob Wright who you didn't have the question marks for, that you were only looking at progression for, that's a massive loss. And obviously at the position that he plays at point guard, that's the one where you want to have the experience, where you don't want to have the question marks. And now you you start over. You start from kind of ground zero from a sense of the Baylor basketball roster. If you had Rob Wright staying, it's just one player, right? But from a sense of comfortability and play style, it's almost like having 3 players because you just know what you're going to get from him night in, night out. And there's just a sense of familiarity there. Now you don't have it. So it's a big loss for Baylor.
You bring up a great point, dude. Like this season, just being out calling games, there were, for all the guys that climbed out of the mid-majors and you're like, wow, this guy's great. It's neat to see him ascend and develop as a player on this bigger stage. There were a lot of guys where you look and you say, well, Trevor Baskin at Colorado, right? He's not great. And, well, he was playing Division II last year. Like, there's a lot of that. Like, we could say the same thing. Oh, well, he was at Omaha last year. Like, we don't, like, this is just a different level. And I do believe that is the one thing, although I appreciate what Baylor and Scott Drew is doing almost from a general manager perspective now. It's a different approach, piecing together a team, right, that you feel can really work well together. But that can also be like, I really hate to think we're sitting there in January and being like, well, what did you expect? Like like the one guy I see out of the portal with like power play experience or experience in a power conference, correct me if I'm wrong, is Skillings, right?
Yeah. Ratai played in the West Coast Conference last year, so it's pretty hit or miss. I would relate that more to the Mountain West than I would to a Power Four. So yeah, it's Dan Skillings, and the Skillings addition in a vacuum is good, right? Here's a former Big 12 starter, a guy who averaged in double figures in this league, and so you do have that kind of familiarity. But you look at the context of it, this is not a huge pickup. You need a whole roster, so nothing is a bad pickup in my mind. But here's a guy who thought he was an NBA player, was testing the waters of the NBA draft before last season, and midway through the year this year, he's benched, and he doesn't start another game after the end of January, and his role greatly diminishes. There's absolutely that opportunity that he taps back into what he had 2 years ago. I know he battled a bit of an injury this year, and is able to tap into that under Scott Drew. But in terms of the excitement level, he's probably third or fourth on this list of six. And the other two guys you just haven't seen a lot out of. So it's definitely solid. Again, when you're in this situation, I don't know that there's a bad pickup that you could get, and a guy that is, a former starter in the Big 12. I think that helps. But yeah, he's the only one with the kind of major college basketball experience.
All right, let's move on to something I know you want to talk about, because sometimes I feel like I'm pulling your goddamn teeth talking about Baylor. Celtic City.
Yeah. You don't want to mention that this was my second time on Barstool, by the way.
Well,
this is a big deal. This is a big deal.
Let's talk.
I thought that's what I know you were way into that. So
let's talk about the Barstool experience.
Yeah.
So when you notice that you go up as a kid from Boston, when you land on Barstool Sports, what are you feeling?
That's a good question, Pete. I'm glad you asked it, because it's still a big deal. Look, I'm not the Stoolie that I used to be, and I don't think Barstool is what it used to be. But for kids of my generation growing up in my exact time and place, that's still a huge deal. Like I was one of those kids, and we all did. Me and all my friends, we had the Barstool app before it was anything. When it was just being run out of Massachusetts, and it was literally just like frat guys and high schoolers and middle schoolers in the South Shore of Massachusetts. So that was nice. And they actually credited me on the picture. They embedded the tweet. I've seen a lot of the picture going around with no Locked On Baylor credit. I spent a whole 2 or 3 minutes putting the X's on that thing. I deserve some of that, some artistic integrity and getting some credit for that. So yes, that was nice. And I'm excited to talk about Celtic City.
Offline yesterday, McShay and Steve Mensch, both Massachusetts dudes, were commenting on our Raphael Devers hunger strike. They loved it.
Really? McShay's a fan, huh?
Yeah, McShay's a huge Red Sox fan, and Mensch is too. And they both brought that up, and they were laughing about it. Here's Swingler.
Wait, let's be clear about what they said, actually, because I thought what they said was funnier.
Okay.
The first thing they said when they got on here to get on with us was, "What are you doing to that poor kid?" And I didn't know what they were talking about. And then they were like, "You made him hunger strike."
This was peer pressure, man. Peer pressure.
But as two guys from Boston, they totally got it. I was like, dude, I got this guy who's a psycho masshole, just like you do.
And you knew how to pull the string. You knew that was something I would have a real tough time turning down.
Yeah, I do, because I know you, and I know a million guys like you. Actually, I don't. You're unique, but I know people like you. By the way, you should. I mean, I gotta say this. We would never want to lose you at Rogue, but you should be working at Barstool. That is like.
I've tried. Look, I moved here and I applied a bunch
to make that happen.
I've applied. I've tried working some angles. I know some people.
That's horseshit.
Look,
that's like saying when we first started. when you said you were going to be a stand-up comic, but how many comedy clubs have you gone to?
Hey, I'm working characters in stand-up comedy. This is a long gone game. I think I was more serious about trying to get the bar stool. I'm working some angles. I'm trying, and admittedly, probably not been creative enough with it. But
no, I think I just think that it would be a marriage made in heaven.
They need a Bruins guy. They do. So I'm gonna try and work on that. And I would love to have McShay on the Cam show, but only to talk about the Red Sox.
He would do that. He's more. I'll tell you, he's more Red Sox history. McShay,
love that.
When he was a kid, I meant to bring this up yesterday. He legit during Super Bowl 20, when the Patriots were getting their ass kicked by the Bears, his mother Deborah sent him to bed at half. He was too out of control. He was losing his mind, and they had to send him to bed. The night the Patriots lost the Super Bowl, he literally was in our triple room at Wood Hall losing his shit. We always lose. Every year we lose. Hey, the Red Sox lost. I mean, it was going crazy. He would probably almost never admit this now. But he was, tearing down his bed. It was wild, dude. Wild. And every night.
Understand that 100%.
Yeah, and so he had to put on Major League while he fell asleep because that was the only thing that could soothe him. All right, Celtic City. What has been your favorite part, your favorite character?
Ooh, Patino.
Really?
Yeah.
Because he's owned some of his stuff?
In a way, yes, because he's owned just enough of it for people that aren't Celtics fans to be like, oh, you know what, this is nice. But he's like the things that he was saying to that GM, making the GM lose all that weight. Chris Wallace, that was the name. Like, what a prick, man! Like, what an absolute dick. And it's funny because I've had this weird relationship with Celtics coach Rick Pitino. This is obviously a little bit before my time. And obviously, he is the bane of Celtics fans' existence. He really, and he deserves to be. He crushed that franchise, kicked it while it was down. And what I've kind of become a Rick Pitino defender in a weird backwards way over the years, because I hate when the anniversary comes up of him being hired, and Celtics fans are like, "This was the dumbest decision. They never should have done this. They never should have made this move." And I'm like, well, there's two different things. Hindsight's 2020. It was one of the worst moves in franchise history. But at the time, he was a slam dunk hire. He had won everywhere he had been, obviously to great extent to the college game, but was pretty successful with the Knicks as well in the NBA. This was a no doubt hire, and this still ends up being the only place he didn't succeed.
That was the height of my Sixers fandom, and I remember being terrified by that move. I was so bummed. And we had Larry Brown, who honestly, of course, ended up being more successful than Pitino and really turned that franchise around when it could have gotten really ugly. But yeah, it was a no-brainer. Can't miss hire.
Yeah. And so I find Pitino to be fascinating. He's still a dick, and it's still there's absolutely no excuse for trading Chauncey Billups 51 games into his career after imagine if that happens today, the number 3 pick in the draft, and you trade him for pennies on the dollar halfway through his first season. This was not the Andrew Wiggins for Kevin Love thing. This was for nothing. And you look at it, and it's actually they have these premium picks. They don't get Tim Duncan. But out of these 3 straight years, 4 top 10 picks in 3 years, they get Antoine Walker, Chauncey Billups, Ron Mercer, fine role player, and Paul Pierce. Just have a bit of goddamn patience. That's a championship core right there. And they just don't. And he trades Chauncey Billups away, and he just keeps getting tall guy after tall guy after tall guy. And it just runs this thing into the ground because he thinks it's friggin' Kentucky and he can get to the Final Four year one. Oh, it's
Travis
so frustrating,
Knight,
man.
Dino Raja, right?
Dino, yes, man. The late Eric Montross.
R.I.P., by the way.
Yeah, good guy.
So, he ended up being the Celtics radio analyst for a little while, which was pretty cool.
He was?
Yeah. All right, so look, Cam, let's have you on next week to do more Celtic City after the next episode. I feel like we rushed this. You have a show to do. So I appreciate you stopping by. But where can people find you, really, as our audiences continue to grow?
Yeah. At Real Cam Stewart on X, formerly known as Twitter. You can catch me on the Cam Show every day, which is also on the Rogue Media Network. It's all Boston stuff, but if you want the Baylor side of things, which I know Pete brings to a lot when I come on, that's Locked On Baylor, wherever you get your podcasts, and on YouTube every weekday. So,
what
and
about
just
the NHL show?
Yes, if you're a puckhead like myself, Locked On NHL Game Night, which we're bringing to you every day after the game. So I'm doing it. I'm recording it after midnight every night. It's on the Locked On NHL channel, and that's available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as well. We're going to be going right through the Stanley Cup final, so you're going to see a lot of me on there.
By the way, Bear the Truth, the Chicago native, wants you to get over to Second City, and let's go.
I should do that. They have some classes. I don't know. Maybe I should try it out.
Well, now that your moods are changing again because you're up too late, so I'm a little worried about this new Locked On NHL.
I'm exhausted, man.
Yeah,
Fuck.
I can tell. All right, you got a show to do. I'll talk to you soon. Cam Stuart, the man, the myth, the legend. All right, that's the Pete Sousa Show for today. We'll be back tomorrow. Like and subscribe, and make sure you thank Scotty Swingler because he makes this happen. The beautiful graphics, some of the clips you saw yesterday. We are powered by the Rogue Media Network, but not far behind is Scotty Swingler. Thank you to Slovacics. We will see you tomorrow.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is stark.
We are Rogue Media Sports.